Previous class we had some basic knowledge about what is about atom, some knowledge about molecule, some knowledge about ions, some knowledge about polyatomic cations, anions, और वो जो that ज्ञान part of the lesson we will go on, means as and when required. It's not that in one day I can teach you all this, but just generic chemistry knowledge, whenever required, I'll be chipping in and I'll be writing, and it will be a little bit more than what is there in your book. So be prepared to learn that in order to limp less in grade 11. Yes, always target your grade 11. Okay, chalo. So there are, today we'll go for some laws, like we say. Now how, let's see the background of what we are trying to learn today. The background, something from your grade 7 will also come here. The background is that, you know, atoms chemically combine and they form molecules. And what I am trying to say about here is different type of atoms, means I'm trying to give a reaction of how elements form into compounds. Are you understanding this? When elements form to compounds, then atoms of different elements chemically combine to form molecules. What happened? Chemically combine. Okay. So this word is of utmost importance for us. Chemically combined. So chemically combined means there will be a chemical reaction. Okay. In grade 10 we will learn how to know about a reaction. How do you know reaction is happening? What type of reactions? So a chemical reaction, going by our grade 7 knowledge, it is something which is a chemical change. Chemical change, usually irreversible. Usually irreversible means the usual methods of like evaporation, etc. You cannot reverse this. It is usually, and most important thing is, as we learned in the first two chapters, new substances, new properties. Is this clear? New substances, new properties. Whenever there is a chemical reaction, there will be new substances. For example, hydrogen, explosive, oxygen supports combustion, they give birth to water, which is a fire extinguisher. New substance, new properties. So ये just मैं लेके आया हूं इसलिए आपको समझाने के लिए. This is the background. So chemical combination is must in order for elements to turn into compounds, right? There will be a chemical reaction based on our grade 7 knowledge. It's about a chemical change. A chemical change is something which is irreversible, new substances, new properties, and there will be exchange of energy in the form of heat, light and sound. There will be some exchange. इतना डेप्थ में नहीं जाएंगे. आज हम इसके ऊपर concentrate करेंगे that when this chemical combination takes place, is there a law in which this combination will take place? Something like a recipe. So if I tell you that I want to make, say, Maggie, then there is a recipe for making Maggie. With one pack of Maggie, you have to add 1 cup of water only, which is something like, say, 100 ml of water. If you add more, it will sog out. So there's a recipe. Now what we will study here is, and there are 5 such laws. You are going to learn only about 2 laws in grade 9. What are the laws which govern this chemical combination? We know that elements will chemically combine to form molecules. ये तो समझ में आया. And here, children, I am not talking about oxygen combining to form oxygen molecule. नहीं, मैं थोड़ा complex समझने का. Like carbon and oxygen combining to form carbon dioxide. They combine chemically. Now I am going to study what are the laws that govern these combination. ठीक है ना? So this chemically combined means there will be certain laws, and we're going to learn about 2 laws in grade 9. Okay, that is the prelude. Shall we start? Now we go with 1 law. Piyusha and Anya, you guys just joined in. So we're trying to learn about some laws of chemical combination. And what is the prelude for that? We say that atoms chemically combine to form molecules. If we go back to our grade 7 knowledge, a chemical combination is a chemical reaction. That's a chemical change, which is irreversible. New substances, new properties. We all learned this in the chapter Is Matter Pure? Today what we try to learn is, when we say chemically combine, कैसे combine करते हो? क्या कोई कानून के मुताबिक, कोई रेसिपी के मुताबिक, उसको सीखने की कोशिश करेंगे. ठीक है? रेडी? चलिए पहला वाला लॉ को देखते हैं और पहले लॉ को समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. The first law is called the law of conservation of mass. अभी इसमें थोड़ा सा हिस्ट्री भी जानना होगा, बड़े अच्छे अच्छे स्टोरीज हैं यहाँ पे. This law was given by the French chemist Antonin Lavoisier. Antonin Lavoisier was guillotined in the French Revolution. He was found guilty of doing a lot of public money laundering का भी इसका मिला था. When have you read about French Revolution in grade 9? Okay, Mary Antoinette and Louis XVI. Louis XVI was the person who actually officialized guillotine as a capital mode of punishment, little knowing that he himself will also be guillotined. As we feel sorry, actually, I feel sorry reading the story of Mary Antoinette. सब बेवकूफ बनाया गया है. So they were such that people used to come and say that the citizens don't have bread to eat, and the queen was so ignorant. She used to say, "Bread, give them cakes." भागने की कोशिश किए थे, फिर भी उनको पकड़ लिया था. Or Lavoisier. And Lavoisier is known to be, after guillotine happened, his eyes blinked on the chopped off head. That's also a research story separate. ये भी कहानी है, ठीक है. Antonin Lavoisier के और बड़े सुंदर सुंदर चीजें हैं. He said, if everything is destroyed in this world, मान लो सब खत्म हो गया है, and there is one person just alive who can pass on some information to a new generation, he said that just tell that person matter is composed of atoms. And then the next generation can make everything. Are you understanding? Matter is composed of atoms is such a powerful statement. He says that if one generation wants to pass on any information to another generation and the world gets shattered, just pass on the information कि matter atom से बना हुआ है. इतना information दे देने से that next generation will be able to dig out. Yes, it will take time, but they'll be able to do it. Now, Antonin Lavoisier, as you know, French Revolution means this is happening something in the period 17th century के आसपास, ठीक है ना? 1700 something it is happening. Now the question arises, nuclear chemistry was not known at a time. So the nuclear reactions do not follow this. ये आपका किताब नहीं लिखता है, जान के रखिए. This law of conservation of mass is not followed by nuclear reaction. Means if you design an atom bomb does not work on the law of conservation of mass. ठीक है? Or any sort of nuclear fission that we are doing, it will never work on the law of conservation of mass. आगे इस law को, so now the question arises, sir, is this law valid today? Yes, but with a slight tweak. That tweak I'll tell you after we understand the law. Right? First of all, we are now assuming as if we are in the before the French Revolution period. Renaissance होने से भी पहले हम लोग उस period में हैं, and it's only law of conservation of mass. So it says law of conservation of momentum means momentum was conserved. Law of conservation of mass का मतलब क्या है? Total mass is conserved. मतलब mass का कोई loss नहीं होता है. Mass is conserved. समझ गए? Let's see. So let's see a reaction. How does a reaction take place? In a reaction, you will have something called reactants. You know reactants? Elements represented by their atoms which will react under certain conditions. And what are these conditions? These conditions can be those of temperature, pressure. You can also give some catalyst which can expedite the reaction. ये आपको product देगा. ठीक है ना? Product देगा. Right. Now start thinking. When the reactants start reacting, reactants will reduce, they will finish up, and products will be formed. Total mass is conserved. Now you yourself know, mass of reactant should be equal to mass of product, because when a reaction takes place, the reactor, if you अच्छा थोड़ा ग्राफ बनाते हैं, ऐसे ग्राफ बनाते हैं, जरा देखो तो. Let's say this is reactants and this is time. ठीक है ना? थोड़ा एडवांस पढ़ो यार, ऐसे किताब का चीज पढ़ता है. This is time and this is product. What are you trying to study, sir? I am trying to study product concentration. I am trying to see reactant concentration. Reactants धीरे धीरे घटता जाएगा जैसे ही टाइम जाएगा, और products जैसा होगा products बढ़ता जाएगा, है ना? एक टाइम पे जाने के बाद सारा reactants खत्म हो गया और सारा product आ जाएगा. This is typically how it happens. So we say that if you start with 5 grams of a reactants, exactly 5 grams of product only will be formed. Means if you weigh my iPad, Piyusha, by the information, the iPad which used to be here today, after 2 days of class, we came and we found that the iPad was lying on the floor, completely shattered. So let us understand law of conservation of mass. Total mass of the iPad before shattering is equal to total mass of the broken iPad plus the shattered pieces and everything. If you weigh them, they should be exactly equal. बीच में कोई चीज गायब नहीं होना चाहिए. This is law of conservation of mass. Anton and Lavoisier said that the total mass of a reaction is always conserved. Mass of the reactants is equal to mass of the product. यही आपको याद रखना है. वही है law of conservation. Momentum before incident is equal to momentum after. Mass of reactants means mass of the system before reaction equal to mass of the system after reaction. What is system after reaction? Product. What is system before reaction? Reactants. हो गया, समझ में आया आपको. अब इस चीज को देखते हैं और अच्छे से देखते हैं. चले थोड़े एग्जांपल्स देखें. All of you understood what is law of conservation of mass? The law of conservation of mass says that the mass of the reactants will always be equal to mass of the products. Means एक chemical reaction जब होता है तो ना कोई चीज गायब हो जाता है ना कोई चीज एक्सेस पैदा होता है. ठीक है, in terms of mass. Please understand, ये लेकिन अलग चीज था, ये अलग चीज है, लेकिन दोनों को वजन करने से टोटल मास ऑफ रिएक्टेंट्स should be equal to total mass of product. चले इसको समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. आइए, लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मास. ठीक है, सबसे पहले लेट्स टेक सम एग्जांपल्स. कार्बन रिएक्ट्स विद ऑक्सीजन टू गिव मी समथिंग कॉल्ड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. ठीक है ना, कार्बन सॉलिड फॉर्म में होता है, ऑक्सीजन गैसियस फॉर्म में होता है एंड CO2 इज इन gaseous form. ठीक है. Now some things will come alien to you, but absorb it. Okay. If 12 grams of carbon is made to react with 16 grams, 32 grams of oxygen, you are supposed to get exactly 44 grams of CO2. This is law of conservation of mass. अब सवाल आता है, sir, later we will see many other combinations also. Okay. Tell me one more thing. Like when you go for other laws which will make it, although not in your course but you'll understand them, you will understand something called the laws of limiting reactant also. Okay, tell me, to make 1 cup of tea, how much sugar do you need roughly? 2 teaspoons. ठीक है, 2 teaspoons. Now say suppose वैभव के घर में there are 2 drums of milk and they have business of tea leaves. Water is there, but he has sugar only of 4 teaspoons left in his house. How much tea can he make? 2 cups. So who is controlling your reaction? Sugar. What is sugar? Limiting reactant. It is limited in supply. The limited guy will only control. They say like as a chain is as strong as the weakest link. You brought a big chain, but one of the link did not have proper welding. तो वहीं पे तो टूटेगा ना. So, ऐसे बहुत सारे लॉज हैं. अब यहाँ पे देखो, वी से सर अगर मैं 12 ग्राम के जगह में इफ आई वुड हैव ब्रॉट 24 grams of carbon and I keep it at 32 only, वो पार्ट अनरिएक्टेड रह जाएगा. Excess of 12 will remain unreacted. There, all this is the basis of stoichiometry that you are learning, which forms the first part of grade 11 chapter, some basic concepts of chemistry. You just cannot make something as per your choice. You have oil left only, say 1 cup oil in your house, and you want to cook 5 kgs of chicken. How can you cook? नहीं हो सकता है. Sir, we have got 5 drums of oil and we have only 500 grams of chicken. पूरा तेल डाल दोगे क्या? No, unreacted रह जाएगा. So are you understanding? Yes. So the first thing that, so for this law to be established, the first thing that you should look at, the reaction should be a balanced chemical equation. ये balance होना चाहिए, balanced chemical equation. That we will go later. Once this is balanced, after that, once you establish these figures, they are correct. And now you may ask me, sir, who told you that 12 reacts with 32? I'll say, hold on for 1-2 weeks of classes. You yourself will get to know why this thing is happening. Okay? So the rule is 12 plus 32 gives me, so if you see the mass of reactants, let's see, mass of reactants. Tell me how much is the mass of reactants? 12 gram plus 32 grams. कितना आया? 44 grams. और इस साइड में 44 grams. This is mass of products. And the mass of reactants should be exactly equal to the mass of products. ठीक है? On this you may get some numericals also. Very easy. They will suddenly tell you this is this much, this is this much, how much should be this. हाँ, तो एक और देखते हैं. This is one example. Let's see one more example. Okay. So let's say water H2 plus O2 gives me H2O, but ये equation जो है बच्चा बैलेंस नहीं है, तो बैलेंस कैसे करेंगे? 2H2 plus O2 gives me 2H2O. ठीक है ना? This is a balanced chemical equation. Now here hydrogen is in gaseous state, this is in gaseous state, this is liquid, right? Understood? Right. Now if you try to break it down, now देखो इसको कैसे कर सकते हैं? We say out here I am using 32 grams of oxygen. How many grams of oxygen? 32 grams of oxygen. And water is 8 into, this is 36 grams. So 4 grams. 4 grams. Nobody will ask you to remember all these things. No. I'm just trying to show you. 4 grams of hydrogen react with 32 grams of oxygen to give you 36 grams of water. Sir, how are you getting these calculations? You will also get to know them. Hold on for some time. हाँ, नहीं रेशियो नहीं, इसमें मास नंबर्स का काम आएगा. अभी आपको मास नंबर पता नहीं है. ठीक है. सो हैव यू अंडरस्टूड लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मास? अब थोड़ा सा देखते हैं व्हाट वाज द चेंज इन टुडेज वर्ल्ड. ओके, the reactions that you see for these chemical reactions, in these reactions the electrons participate. अब इलेक्ट्रॉन क्या है थोड़ी देर के लिए जान के रखो. इलेक्ट्रॉन is something like an entity which is at the outermost periphery of the atom, something like your BSF or army who is going for war. पुलिस नहीं जाता है किसी वॉर में, पुलिस जाता है नहीं जाता है. न्यूक्लियर रिएक्शन इज समथिंग डिफरेंट. इन रिएक्शंस में सबसे खासियत है the hydrogen atom still remains as hydrogen atom, oxygen atom still remains as oxygen atom, but in nuclear reaction the entire government changes. A carbon atom changes to a nitrogen atom, the nucleus of the atom changes. Okay, let's say for example, let's see a nuclear reaction of, let's say, a uranium 235. Okay, a uranium 235, when it will be hit with a neutron, okay, it will be hit with a neutron. So it will actually give you something called krypton, and it will give you krypton plus one more atom. It will give you, say, 2 atoms मिलेंगे आप ऐसा हो जाने के बाद. If you add the mass of both sides, they will never tally in nuclear reactions. आपको कैसा मिलेगा पता है? This side the mass will be very high, this side the mass will be less. बाकी mass गया कहाँ? That is what is coming out as energy. This is what gives you to Einstein's concept of E equal to mc square bola. Energy and mass are interconvertible items. Nuclear reactions में a heavier atom disintegrates into a less heavy atom and releases loads and loads of energy. If you add the mass and energy before reaction and the mass and energy after reaction, they will be same. So in present day world, this law is no more studied as law of conservation of mass. This is studied as law of conservation of mass and energy. But to understand that part, you should first understand, because Lavoisier gave this law when nuclear chemistry was not known. In any nuclear chemistry, when you have to release a lot of energy, you have to disintegrate the atom, and the atom changes into a lighter atom, and loads of energy will be given. If that energy is uncontrolled, it's a bomb. If it is controlled, it can be used for peaceful purposes. ठीक है, समझ में आ गया? Law of conservation of mass, nothing great. Mass is never lost in any chemical reaction. The mass of the system overall remains the same. Time for us to do some pillu CBSE problems. Are you ready? Okay, let's take an example. It says in an experiment, and this law is always experimentally found. So in an experiment, 1.288. They will tease you in numbers, huh? 1.288 grams of copper oxide. This is copper oxide. Copper oxide, and this was obtained. You are getting this. This was obtained. Copper oxide means what will react? Copper and oxygen should react. Okay. Copper oxide was obtained from 1.03 grams of copper. बात सुनिए, 1.288 grams of copper oxide was obtained from. Okay, this is not from constant proportion. 1 minute, बच्चा मेरे से mistake हुआ है. We'll take another problem. Sorry, this was from law of constant proportion. Okay, sorry. Let's take another one. Right, sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate. Okay, write this. Sodium. This is a very important reagent. Although at 9 they will not tell you the formulas. We'll write them. Sodium carbonate's formula is Na2CO3. Carbonate is CO3. CO3 has a valency of 2 minus. Na2 आएगा carbonate के साथ, ठीक है? वो धीरे धीरे बताएंगे. Sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate is also known as washing soda. General knowledge test के लिए रखें. Sodium carbonate is known as washing soda, and keep in your mind one more compound that is called sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is also known as sodium bicarbonate, and bicarbonates B and baking sodas B. That is how you should remember baking soda. In fact, the other day I picked up a pack of baking soda at Ratnadeep and I took a picture and showed it to grade 10. Its actuality will be written out there, sodium bicarbonate. Its formula is NaHCO3. This is the bicarbonate anion. This is the carbonate anion. इस HCO3 को हम बोलते हैं bicarbonate. HCO3 minus, और यहाँ पे है CO3 2 minus. What is this 2 minus? Slowly we will learn. बस इतना याद रखिए, bicarbonate anion is HCO3, carbonate is CO3. Right? These are the things I will keep chipping in, although the question has nothing to do with this. 2 minus. It has 2 negative charge on its head. Therefore, it has to combine with somebody who can give 2 positive charge, then only stable. Sodium usually carries 1 positive charge. Therefore, 2 sodiums came. And had it combined with calcium, yeah, these are ions. Calcium has got 2 positive charge. So if calcium marries this fellow, calcium will marry a CaCO3. But sodium has got 1 positive charge. इसको 2 चाहिए न्यूट्रलाइज होने के लिए, इसलिए Na2CO3. धीरे धीरे करते जाएंगे. चलिए क्वेश्चन ले लेते हैं पहले, ठीक है? Sodium carbonates reacts with ethanoic acid. So we have got sodium carbonate. What is ethanoic acid? Vinegar. Reacts with ethanoic acid. अच्छा, ethanoic acid को भी लिख लो. Ethanoic acid is also known as acetic acid, and it is nothing but the acid found in vinegar. Its formula is CH3CO. Okay. ये तो ग्रेड 9 में नहीं है, जानना चाहिए. हाँ, double oxygen. Why not write CO2? This is the organic compound. In organic compound, we do not write CO2. There is a way, because now if you want to get yourself ragged, I have no other option. This is a compound which is a carbonyl group. So here you have an alcohol group, and here you have a methyl group. This is how CH3COH looks like. Now this is completely gone over. So this structure is important. This will eat your head in grade 10. Don't worry. So next time when you see that I am writing it like this, there's a reason that I have written it like this. No, ये organic compound, इसको ऐसा नहीं लिखता है, ठीक है? आइए. So sodium carbonate reacts with ethanoic acid to form something called sodium ethanoate. Sodium ethanoate. अच्छा, ये इथानोएट जो होता है ना, these are all esters. Esters means fruity smelling compounds. Have you ever gone to Karachi bakery? As soon as you enter, you have a fruity smell. टिपिकल बेकरी स्मेल, दैट इज ऑल बिकॉज ऑफ दैट एस्टर्स, एस्टर कंपाउंड्स में ऐसे ही स्मेल आता है, ठीक है। सोडियम एथेनोएट या CH3 चूना, CH3 tuna is the formula for sodium ethanoate. It will form sodium ethanoate, it will form carbon dioxide and it will form water, ठीक है। ये तीन चीज फॉर्म होगा when sodium carbonate is reacting with ethanoic acid, ठीक है। Okay, so it says, so this is the reaction. Now in this reaction they are saying 5.3 gram, so they took 5.3 grams of sodium carbonate, right, reacted with 6 grams of ethanoic acid, 6.0 grams of ethanoic acid. So you got the mass of the reactants. अभी total mass of the product इतना ही होना पड़ेगा, कितना होना पड़ेगा 11.3. If you add these two, how much do you get? 11.3 grams, है ना। इस साइड में 11.3 आना ही पड़ेगा, लेकिन क्वेश्चन क्या है, कहता है टू फॉर्म 8.2 grams of sodium ethanoate, 8.2 grams of sodium ethanoate, 2.2 grams of carbon dioxide, 2.2 grams of carbon dioxide and gave 0.9 grams of water, ठीक है। सब कुछ तो बता ही दिया, तो करना क्या है, show that this data verifies the law of conservation of mass. So you just do the product mass. हाँ कितना हो गया इसमें 0.2, 9 plus 2 11 plus 2 13, 3 1 carry over, 1 and 2 3, 3 and 8 11, पूरा matching. So you can write there, you write total mass of reactants is this, total mass of product is this, as mass of reactant is equal to mass of product, hence the given data verifies the law of, write that.
That is given in the problem, right?
Yeah. The question is show that this, you write it, don't leave it, I'll wait for you. The question is show that this data verifies the law of conservation of mass. So how will you show, children? You will first show that, how will you show that it verifies the law of conservation of mass? You will first show that the mass of reactants is blah blah, mass of products is blah blah, as mass of reactant is equal to mass of product, hence it is as per the law of conservation of mass. जिसने नहीं लिखा है वो भी लिखेगा, जिसने लिखा है उसको बहुत सारा प्यार। बोलो बच्चा, समझ में आया? वेरी इजी। चले अगले प्रॉब्लम में, यही चैप्टर में थोड़ा सा न्यूमेरिकल रहेगा आपको 9th में। चलते हैं अगला प्रॉब्लम। आफ्टर टीचिंग ऑनलाइन ना, that paste and cloning that you can do, it's only itching my hands. Now 1 more year means I am just waiting for that price to come down from 5 figure. Now in 1,05,000 also it's available, but 1,05,000 1,10,000 में मिलता है। 1 लाख से नीचे होने से मैं लूंगा पैनल। हाँ हो जाना चाहिए, 1,50,000 था, बहुत नीचे आ गया। Amazon में भी मिलना शुरू हो गया है, थोड़ा और मिलना चाहिए। ओके, नेक्स्ट इज कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट, CaCO3, इसका नाम क्या है बेटा? कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट। ऐसे आप ना इंटरेस्ट से पढ़ा करो, ऑल कंपाउंड सब आपको ऑटोमेटिकली मजा आएगा। कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट decomposes means it will give all its constituents. Decompose, man is made up of all organic. मेरे को कब्र में लगा दोगे तो मैं डिकम्पोज हो जाऊंगा ना, तो इस वही है कैल्शियम। ये सर भी बोल रहा है, हाँ सर जाइए कब्र में आप। Calcium carbonate decomposes. Now this is a reaction you will study in grade 10 and this reaction is called thermal decomposition. We heat it, heat का symbol होता है delta, so this is known as thermal decomposition. देखो थोड़ा 10 भी पढ़ते रहो, मजा आते रहेगा। Thermal decomposition. There are 3 types of decomposition: thermal, photo फोटो डिकम्पोजिशन मीन्स लाइट, एंड इलेक्ट्रिकल डिकम्पोजिशन पर उसका नाम है इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस। पैरालिसिस बोले तो शरीर से अंग टूट गया, इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस बोले तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से टूट गया सब कुछ। Like water, electrolysis will give you hydrogen. So there are three types of decomposition. In decomposition, always remember the type of reaction will be like this: AB will give you A plus B. This is decomposition reaction. And addition reaction इसका उल्टा है. The reaction that you saw, A plus B, carbon plus oxygen, carbon dioxide. तो वो होता है addition reaction या फिर combination reaction बोलते हैं, right? So calcium carbonate क्या क्या हमें देगा? इसको हीट करेंगे तो ये देगा CO2 प्लस CaO। CaO को बेटा हम बोलते हैं कैल्शियम ऑक्साइड। इसका दूसरा नाम है क्विकलाइन। बात मत करो। दिस इज इन देहाती भाषा दिस इज नोन एज चूना। बाजार में जाके जब आप पान की दुकान में बिना पानी लगाए दैट रॉक जो खरीदोगे ना, रॉक वाला, दैट इज चूना। पानी लगा हुआ नहीं, पानी लगा वाला हो जाएगा CaOH2, that is called slaked lime. This is quick lime. ठीक है? This is that rock tunas which you get dry. Okay? So problem is something like this. They say that 10 grams of calcium carbonate. So what is the reactant? 10. So in product we should get 10. सब कुछ मिलाने से 10 gram of calcium carbonate is decomposed completely. Decomposed completely means the reaction completely ended. पूरा खत्म हुआ, ठीक है ना? Then 5.6 gram of calcium oxide is obtained. ऐसा क्यों नहीं बोला कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज obtained? Calcium oxide is obtained. ऐसा क्यों नहीं बोला कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड? Generally when you are doing the reaction, carbon dioxide is a gas. वो इंद्रजीत की तरह हुआ करके गायब हो गया, वो तुम्हें दिखेगा थोड़ी, ये दिखेगा।
Which of these is the reaction?
This is the reactant. Reactant is always LHS. Why are you saying like this? तुम तो ये पूछ रहे हो सर गर्ल का फादर कौन है, गर्ल कौन है, ऐसे सवाल मत पूछो। You can have a distinct confusion between the girl and her sister, but you can't have a confusion between girl and girl's father. This is a reactant. Okay. My question was, why don't they immediately give the measurement of carbon dioxide? Because carbon dioxide is a gas. Okay. Right, fine. So it's formed. Calculate the mass of carbon dioxide formed. How much of carbon dioxide is formed? Okay. And which law of chemical combination did you use? Law of conservation of mass. So how do you find it? So it should be, if this mass is X, you say this should be equal to this plus this. And after that you say X is equal to 10.0 minus 5.6, which gives you a 0.4 here, 6. 4.4 grams of CO2 you will be getting. समझ में आया? बढ़िया। चलिए, लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मास यहां समाप्त होता है, ठीक है? That quick. Then law of constant proportion, multiple proportion, 5 laws are there. You will be learning only 2 laws. Chalo. Next law is very interesting. Next law will actually make you understand something very interesting, which I'll tell you. थोड़ा रुक जाओ. Law of constant proportion. लॉ ऑफ कांस्टेंट प्रोपोर्शन को देने वाले साइंटिस्ट का नाम था जोसेफ प्रूस्ट। जोसेफ प्रूस्ट, ठीक है? लॉ ऑफ कांस्टेंट प्रोपोर्शन। माय डियर चिल्ड्रन, हैव यू हैड फ्रेंच फ्राइज एट मैकडॉनल्ड्स? यस। लार्ज, मीडियम और medium? Yes. Large, medium. Okay, there's a new McDonald's which has opened right to our place. Okay. Yeah, I have ordered from there, by the way. I've also not gone there. I have ordered from there. Who goes in Pakistan? Now, I suppose I give you a pack of French fries right now. Okay. We have the nearest another French fry McDonald's is out there at Attapur. So this fellow, I asked him to go and take from Attapur, and I asked her to go from this shop. However, when they came, both the French fries were at equal temperature and all. And I take out 2 fries and I put them in your mouth. I don't tell you from where I have sourced them. Can you find any taste difference? No. ठीक है ना, because that is recipe based cooking. And suppose we would have got french fries from Delhi also, or from Chennai also, will you find any difference? No. Or if you would have got some french fries from New York, then also there is no difference. Why? That is a recipe based cooking. But if I make you eat one spoon of biryani and another spoon of biryani, you will say, इसमें अलग है ये. Because Indian cooking is not recipe oriented. हर एक का स्वाद अलग है, यहाँ का टेस्ट अलग है, वहाँ का टेस्ट अलग है. ये लॉ ऑफ कांस्टेंट प्रोपोर्शन थोड़ा सा फ्रेंच फ्राइज जैसा है. कैसा है? It says something like this. Suppose I look at a molecule of water, pure substance. मैंने एक pure substance, अच्छा, pure substance. What is a pure substance? It can be an element or a compound. ठीक है, एलिमेंट के बारे में नहीं पढ़ेंगे, इसमें कंपाउंड के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. वाई कंपाउंड? उसका कभी कोई रीजन है. वाई? बिकॉज एलिमेंट में दो तीन चीज नहीं रहता है. एलिमेंट इज ओनली द एलिमेंट. कंपाउंड में दो अलग अलग चीज है. सो लेट्स से वी टेक अ प्योर सब्सटेंस एंड वी हैव टेकन फॉर एग्जांपल H2O. ठीक है, एंड वी सोर्स वन मॉलिक्यूल ऑफ H2O. ये H2O का एक मॉलिक्यूल है. दिस इज अ मॉलिक्यूल. As long as this is H2O, first try to understand, as long as this is H2O and I have sourced this molecule from Durban and I have sourced one more molecule H2O from Bandlaguda. Okay, both are H2O. They will always have the same two constituent elements, hydrogen and oxygen, combined together in a definite proportion by weight. It's just like recipe. Don't try to understand this law. French fries brought from Delhi and French fries McDonald's brought from Chennai taste same because they have the same thing of potato, oil and salt in the same proportion by weight. Means if you take 10 gram of a fry, if that has got 2 grams of salt, this French fry also has 2 grams of salt. That's why blindfolded also you are unable to say it. Now let's try to think it in terms of chemistry. So if you source a pure substance from two different sources or three different sources, as long as this is this pure substance, that is water, water will have the same elements. What are the elements that make water? The elements that make water are hydrogen and oxygen, and they will be chemically combined together in a definite or constant proportion. The law is constant proportion, definite proportion by weight, which means, now again I'll go with some numbers, bear with me. There will always be 2 grams of hydrogen and 16 grams of oxygen, which actually gives you an 18-gram molecule of water. So the proportion in which they are combining hydrogen is to oxygen will be 1:8. You bring this water from Bloemfontein, a place in South Africa, you get it from Stockholm in Sweden, or you get it from Jumritalaya. As long as it is water, the combination ratio is always 1:8. Maggie as a packet has the same constituent, the same recipe. This is a recipe. So the law of constant proportion को पहले समझिए. The law of constant proportion was proposed by Joseph Proust, and the law says that a pure substance always has the same constituents chemically combined together in a fixed proportion by weight, irrespective from where you have sourced it. पहले समझिए, एक प्योर सब्सटेंस को आप कहीं से भी लेके आइए, उसके अंदर वही सारे एटम्स रहेंगे उसी रेशियो में. किस रेशियो में? नॉट बाय काउंट, by weight, not by count. If it was by count, you would have said, sir, H2 or 2:1, not by count, by weight. Means if one part is hydrogen, say suppose we bring a molecule which is 100 gram of water. 100 grams of water में one part will be hydrogen, 8 parts will be oxygen.
Then the weight of each element is fixed, right?
That we will get to know when we learn atomic mass.
Oh yes.
That's why these numbers will, now these numbers are a bit alien to you. These numbers will become clear to you once we actually learn atomic mass.
The layers, the range.
So it is good, better nothing. This is like a runway. I am landing the aircraft from runway 27. Sir is landing the aircraft from runway 09. You know the concept or not? Oh, you guys are very pathetic, you know. Whenever you go on a runway, the runway as you approach will be like this. If the runways from this side approaches 27, the runway from this side will be written 09. Some of these two is it. This is the aviation. So they'll say you, one day this aircraft was trying to land from 27, and after that it had turbulence, turned this side, and then took runway 09. Runway 09 means approaching from the opposite side. Air France, runway 27 cleared. 27 means you're entering from this side. ये भी जाना चाहिए. So your sir is landing the aircraft from runway 09. I am landing from runway 27. But that is necessary because now you will have knowledge coming from many places. But once your this chapter is over,
So could you just repeat the
the law is like this: a chemical compound, किताब का भाषा लिख लो, always consists of the same elements combined together in a definite proportion by weight. A chemical compound always comprises of the same elements chemically combined together in a fixed proportion by weight. और अपना भाषा लिखो तो बेटा कोई घबराने की जरूरत, आपने समझा ना मैंने क्या बोला? A pure substance always has the same constituent elements which combine together in a definite proportion by weight, irrespective of from where you are sourcing this pure substance. As long as you have got me water, it will always have hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio of 1:8 by weight, not by count. Sir, how did you get this 1:8? Because I know one atom of hydrogen weighs 2 grams. Now, this is a very contradictory statement, which I'll come to you now. And one atom of hydrogen oxygen weighs 16 grams. These are very, very contradictory statements. So, water will always be 18 grams. Now, why is this contradictory? वो भी मजा ले लो. Then you can ask in your class. मजा लो ना class में भी. सुनो.
So if we like
1 minute. Out here, I'm telling you what? One atom of hydrogen. कितना बोला? 1 gram. इसमें 2 है ना? H2O. So 2 atoms are making it how much? 2 grams. Do you know ilachi? Cardamom. What do you think should be the weight of one cardamom? If you are unable to understand, have you seen high-tech point pen filling inks? Those ink bottles are only 5 ml, this small. 5 ml. 5 ml will be roughly some 4 to 5 grams. Can you tell me what should be an elaichi's weight? One elaichi's weight, roughly. See, elaichi is very costly, cardamom, okay? How much do we buy in big basket? 100 grams. 100 grams itself will be 290 rupees, 300 rupees. 50 grams, it's sold in 50 grams, 100 grams. 50 grams में कितनी इलायची आ जाएंगे? कम से कम 20-25 इलायची आ जाते हैं 50 ग्राम्स में. एक इलायची कितना होगा रफली? आई एम 50. आप 2 दे रहे हो, चलो 2 तो नहीं होगा, मैंने इसको फिर भी 1 ग्राम दे दिया. An इलायची will be one इलायची will be less than 1 gram. Can you see the इलायची? Yes. Can you see an atom? No. And you are trying to say one oxygen atom is 16 gram. Are you idiots?
Sir, I have a question.
Wait. Answer my question. Do you know the weight of a elaichi? One elaichi would be roughly 1 gram. Can I see the elaichi? Yes. And one atom we have never seen. How can one atom be 1 gram, 16 gram? So all these grams में भी लफड़ा है, ये आगे बढ़ेंगे. ये सब वो ग्राम नहीं है जो आप रत्नदीप में जाके मेजर करते हो. Again, some issues will be there. These are not those grams.
The question I was going to ask is, what if we just weigh the water and then divide it?
No, how do you know how many molecules of water are there? That way you can test it is, this will again match with law of conservation of mass. Take water, do electrolysis, calculate how much of oxygen and hydrogen you got. Then their weights also should be equal. And then you do a ratio of that weight. Are you understanding? What does law of conservation of mass tell me? Try to enjoy. This is water. I do electrolysis of it. What do I get? Oxygen, hydrogen. I will get some weights. If I add them, that should be water. And then you do a ratio here.
Get a ratio.
You will get 1:8.
That's how it.
हाँ, that's how they find it out chemically. होएगा. So we can combine the two laws and also do numericals. ठीक है, ये समझ में आया आपको? But these we will study later on. What is this gram actually? Sir has said one elaichi is 1 gram. I can see the elaichi, and he went to say one atom of oxygen is 16 gram. How is it possible? How is it possible? देखा है क्या कोई? देखा ही नहीं है. ठीक है. So is law of constant proportion understood? The law of constant proportion tells me that if you have a pure substance which is a compound, it will always be composed of the same elements chemically combined together in a fixed proportion by weight, irrespective of where you are sourcing it from. वो कोई भी चीज हो सकता है. जैसे अभी आपने कुछ कंपाउंड्स पढ़ा. क्या क्या कंपाउंड पढ़ा? एक आपने कंपाउंड पढ़ा. अभी क्या पढ़ा देखो तो, Na2CO3. आपने ऐसा एक कंपाउंड पढ़ा ना? Na2CO3, right? So in Na2CO3, what are the constituents? You have 2 numbers of sodium atom, you have 1 numbers of carbon, and you have 3 numbers of oxygen atom. ठीक है ना? Right? So if you actually say their mass, ये 12 होता है, ये 16, 16 3 ये 48 हो जाएगा, and sodium to 8, 1, 11, 2, 22, 23 होता है ये, 23 grams. So you can add them 23, 12, 48. So this will be the ratio in which sodium carbonate will always be. The ratio in which sodium. Now how I am getting these numbers, that you hold. थोड़ा सा आपको टाइम लगेगा आने के लिए. ठीक है, आइए इसके ऊपर थोड़े से प्रॉब्लम्स कर लेते हैं. Right? Take down. So in an experiment, 1.2888. Write down the figure. 1.2888 grams of copper oxide. So 1.2888. I think 2 8s only. 1.288, yeah. 280, yeah. Grams copper oxide. ठीक है. Copper oxide was obtained. इसको हमने obtain किया 1.03 grams of copper से. इसको obtain किया था हमने 1.03 grams of copper से. अच्छा सर, बड़ा बढ़िया क्वेश्चन है यहाँ पे. कॉपर ऑक्साइड मीन समथिंग. इन कॉपर ऑक्साइड क्या क्या होना चाहिए? कॉपर एंड ऑक्सीजन. और यहाँ पे क्या बोला? खाली कॉपर बोला है. Why didn't they say about oxygen? Because this burning happened in atmosphere is giving you a lot of oxygen free of cost. Oxygen is omnipresent. Yes or no?
Yes.
So there is some hidden material also. Let's understand that. Okay. In another experiment, this was experiment number 1. This was experiment number 1. And in another experiment, 3.672 gram of copper oxide. In another experiment, 3.672 grams of copper oxide. Copper oxide. 3.7. On reduction. Reduction means a reduction is a process in which the oxide is converted into the metal. On reduction gave you 2.938 grams of copper. ठीक है. Show that, it says, show that these figures verify the law of constant proportion. Now first thing, for constant proportion, what we should see is that copper is always an element. The pure substance here is copper as well as copper oxide, but we said we'll always deal with the compound. So CuO. So okay, fine. You guys know CuO. Otherwise copper oxide में क्या क्या रहता है बेटा? Copper oxide में 2 चीज रहेगा. एक तो copper रहेगा और एक रहेगा oxygen. Now we have to show that it follows the law of constant proportion. So how do we show that? First of all, let us complete this reaction. There should be some oxygen also. Then only you are getting this item. No, not that. Not subtract. First you find out oxygen. How will you find out oxygen? Lavoisier's law. Mass of reactant should be equal to mass of product. So how much is oxygen should be there? 1.288. This is the mass of product minus 1.030. So it will be 0. This will be 8, 5, and इसमें कितना आएगा 2. 0.258 grams of oxygen is reacting. Have you understood? See, Vaibhav, exactly what we were discussing. This is the same question. So you now got the recipe to make copper oxide. Blah blah plus tla should give you blah blah. So can you find a ratio between these two? Yes, we can find a ratio between these two. No, keep that, not divide. I will get a ratio out here. Let that ratio be x is to y. They have asked us show that this is constant proportion. Copper oxide, irrespective of where you are sourcing it from. In this, you are obtaining it by burning copper. In this, you are disintegrating copper oxide and getting copper. Means here also we should get some oxygen. है ना?
Yeah.
So now try to find out how much is the oxygen here. Let's see. 3.672. इससे कितना निकालेंगे? 2.938. 4, 1 carryover, 1 and 3, 4 and 7, 3. 9 and 6 gives me how much? 15, 5, 1 carryover, 0.534. ये समझ में आया? Are the two reactions now as per law of conservation of mass? Now if they are following, now what do we say? Now look here. This is French fries and this is also French fries. French fry में क्या क्या होता है बेटा? Copper और oxygen. And their ratio, irrespective of how you make the French fry, their ratio should always be x is to y. Are you agreeing to it? So here we need to first do the ratio of these two. इसका रेशियो करके देखते हैं. Let's do, यहाँ पे करके देखते हैं. Copper is to oxygen. अगर रेशियो करके देखो तो कितना होता है? 1.03 is to 0. क्या बुखार आ गया? 0.258. So let's make this ratio roughly. चलो कितना होगा? और टाइम शॉर्ट है. I'm just using the calculator. Okay. So how to do it quickly? In a very short manner, if we want to do 1.03, right? So 1.03 को 1.03 से divide करेंगे तो ये हो गया 1 is 2, and on this side how much are we getting? Or 1 minute, point, which is the smaller number, 0.258. 1.03, sorry, 1.03 divided by 0.258. So it's coming roughly 3.99, right? So this is roughly, this ratio is approximately 4 is to 1. This is the ratio. How did I get it? Nothing. I just divided 0.258 by 0.258, and on this side 1.03 I divided by 0.258. This is how you do ratio. So ये तो 1 आ जाएगा and this will come 3.9999. So I roughly took it 4 is to 1.
So why do you
1 is to करना है ना? Dividing both by the same thing.
Yeah.
I have to get a ratio. So the ratio is 1. So it tells me कभी भी कॉपर ऑक्साइड बनाना है तो कैसा रहना चाहिए? ऑक्सीजन 1 भाग रहेगा तो कॉपर कितना रहेगा? 4 भाग रहेगा. 4 parts will be copper. So this is Cu is to O is 1 is to 4. And if the law is correct, in this figure also we should be getting the same thing. Here let us try to do Cu is to O. What is the figure? 2.938 is to 0.534. ठीक है ना? तो 4 is to 1 यहाँ पे भी आना चाहिए, तो इसको 0.534 से डिवाइड करेंगे, इसको भी 0.534. आप ऐसे ही 534 क्यों 7 होगा? अच्छा 734 है, 734 सॉरी 734. ओके, तो इसको 734 से डिवाइड करेंगे. अब देखो मोटा मोटी आपको देखो just go. This will be how much? 1 7 4s are 28. 29 के आसपास मिल जाएगा. This is 1, and if you use a calculator, but in exam they give you easy numbers. 2. How much? 938 divided by how much? 0.734. You get exactly 4. So the ratio does not change. This is the proof of law of constant proportion. Have you understood it or not? Constant proportion पहले आप इसको एकदम फ्रेंच फ्राइज की भाषा में समझो. फ्रेंच फ्राइज कहीं से भी लाओ, कैसे भी बनाओ, उसमें आलू और नमक उसी रेशियो में ही रहेगा. हमने पहली बार फ्रेंच फ्राइज को कैसे बनाया? कॉपर के साथ ऑक्सीजन को हीट किया, and then we took a proper reaction. Means we know exact amount, exact. But they did not give you this amount. This you have to find out first. So we found out. Then we found out the ratio between these two. देखते हैं तो what is आलू is to नमक? We found आलू is to नमक is 4:1. Again French fries को इसमें क्या किया? French fries was decomposed into copper and oxygen. आलू and नमक. पूरा French fries से आलू और नमक अलग अलग कर लिया. Then some measurements were obtained. Obviously, they did not give us oxygen. We found out. अगर मैं इन दोनों का रेशियो करूं तो भी मुझे 4:1 आना चाहिए और exactly आया. This proves. Now you try to put the law in this question. The law of constant proportion. Listen to me and see where I mark. The law of constant proportion tells that a compound always comprises of the same element. A compound always comprises of the same element in a fixed proportion by weight, irrespective of where it was sourced from. कहां से आप लाए हो उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है. जब तक वो कॉपर सल्फेट है या सॉरी कॉपर ऑक्साइड है, उसमें कॉपर और ऑक्सीजन इसी मात्रा में ही रहेगा. You buy a Dolo 650 from here and you buy a Dolo 60 from Ahmedabad, मेडिसिन अलग होगा क्या? Fixed proportion by weight. A Benadryl cough syrup here and a Benadryl cough syrup in Coimbatore will taste the same? Yes. Fixed proportion by Horlicks here and Horlicks there is same. Then you have understood. Yes, sir.
Oxygen would get 0.58 grams. This grams is different from the weight of the.
These are not atoms. This is experimental.
Because actually, like oxygen is only one atom is only.
This is not from atom. We are not going. This is an experiment. Here the reaction. It's not reaction. It is like exact 1 gram of copper was taken, and exact so much grams of oxygen was obtained. That will tally later, but we will see how it tallies. So to give you a common hint, a US dollar comprises of 100 US cents. A Zimbabwean dollar also comprises of 100 Zimbabwean cents, but their values are not same. वो याद रखिएगा, अगले क्लास में इसको देखेंगे. ठीक है? Now you can have a G.